train the muscles, not the joints.
Oh, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Eighth wonder of the world.
Eighth wonder of the world. Eighth wonder of the world. How are you?
So welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about failure and about whether that's necessary with all of your sets, high reps, low reps, and what times should you go to failure and what times should you avoid going to failure, because that's important. You don't want to be hitting failure at the wrong times because that can cause an injury or cause you not to get gains.
Right, we're going to do some high volume chest, some chest back and buys. So we'll see what happens. I got to do a little bit higher volume day. Yesterday I took a day off and then I only got one body part in on the day before for that workout because of time constraints. So sometimes I do mix volume up just from this life thing happening. Sometimes my volume is higher or lower some days. So yeah, sometimes I take the opportunity when I have the time to do a higher volume workout.
So today I'm going to be doing some chest. I'm not going to do the back workout in this workout just to keep this video a little bit shorter. But what I am going to talk to you about is a little bit about going to failure. Okay, so I'm going to be doing some dumbbell press right now, some dumbbell flat bench. I've been doing a lot of dumbbells lately, and the reason why is because I want to really hit the chest. So with barbells, of course, you are limited in your range of motion. So for instance, say you do a wide grip on your bench, you don't squeeze the chest as much because the hands don't come inwards, right? So you do miss a certain part of the contraction on the chest. So that's why I'm concentrating more on dumbbells lately, just because I want to make sure I'm hitting that chest as much as possible. Of course, I don't stretch too low on the way down. I saw a guy in the gym today doing this. He's overstretching, kind of turning that dumbbell bench into ballet, and that's definitely not what you want to do. No matter what exercise you're doing, it's not ballet, this is not yoga. It's something to do with contracting the muscles, keeping them tight. You don't want to overextend the muscles because you will cause yourself some problems doing that. So you can take my word on it or just discover it on your own. But after I watched about, well, hundreds of people in the gym over the years, the guys that were always coming up to me and asking about shoulder injuries usually were the guys that were almost touching their elbows on the ground while they're doing dumbbell presses. So it looked pretty at the time, but it sure as hell wasn't practical. So anyway, just take that with a grain of salt, whatever, try it out, do your own experiment, see what happens. So here I am with the 110s. Now, have you noticed that I'm going to be getting some reps here? You probably noticed this. So the bottom line is that I don't mind going to failure or close to failure when I'm getting anything above 10 to 15 reps. That's when I think failure is something that you can really work on, and it will assist you with your hypertrophy gains. Okay, so you will gain muscle from this. Hitting failure, burning up the glycogen, that will help you gain muscle. But one of the mistakes I see people do is they start to try to hit failure with the wrong exercises, or they try to hit failure with maximal poundages. Okay, and that's when you're starting to play with fire. And at the same time, I don't feel it's necessary, because the thing is that when you're lifting super heavy weight, a weight that you can only handle for 6 or 7 reps, you'll find that there is just a certain amount of inherent tension on the muscle. So the muscle's already being pulled very hard. You're working the fast twitch fibers, and the fast twitch fibers have a lot easier time getting broken down than the slow twitch fibers. Okay, so hence you don't necessarily need to hit failure when you're lifting those heavier poundages. You never see people tear muscles, or very rarely see them tear muscles with sets of 50 or sets of 20, just like I talked about it to a guy on a live stream today. He said, what's more intense, high reps or a high weight? What's more intense on the muscle tissue? High weight is always going to be more intense. Hence, you don't have to go right into failure where you may be unstabilized, or you may get out of balance, or you may lose your groove, right? There's nothing worse than losing your groove or losing balance when you're using maximal weight. That's when injuries can happen. And at the same time, once again, it's not necessary when you're using that heavy weight. That's why powerlifters usually didn't hit failure. When they're doing the heavy poundages in practice, or when they're in the gym and they're training for a meet, they're usually doing multiple sets of something for 5 or 6 reps, or 3 reps or 2 reps, but they usually can get an extra rep or 2 on anything they're doing just to make sure that everything is perfect. They're trying to perfect that groove. Now, when you're perfecting that groove, once again, because you're using such heavy weight, you are still breaking tissue down. You still are breaking muscle tissue down, and you will still grow. Most powerlifters, if you look at them, they still have a good amount of muscle mass on their back, legs, and chest. They might not have the bicep development stuff, but that's only because they're not training biceps the same as a bodybuilder will, okay? So bear this in mind. When you're going heavy, make sure that you always have a rep or half a rep in the tank. Don't hit absolute failure. And I really do disagree a lot with these heavy negatives. That people do with maximal weights and then they're doing negatives. You're playing with fire with those. So if you do them very rarely. I would not recommend that you do this stuff as a regular practice in your training. You will overtrain very quickly, and if you do get away with a workout or two like that, I would suggest resting and taking time off of that type of technique for quite a while before you engage in it again. Because I know everybody adapts differently. Some people have a real hard time growing muscle. Some people are more slow twitch fiber dominant, so it might not be so dangerous for them. So if you're one of those rare people that have a real hard time breaking down muscle, then negatives might be right for you, but still be careful with them anyway.
So here we go, okay. It's set number 8, 9, 10, I don't know what it is, but see, I'm trying to do higher volumes of workouts because you definitely hit the muscle in a different way. It's good to change it up, right? I don't rely on any one technique. Some people just, they get too married. They say, okay, you know, all you need is 2 sets or 3 sets or 1 set or whatever. But in theory, maybe that's true in some ways when you're higher frequency and stuff. But sometimes I find I do get some exercise from doing volume. It just seems to hit something different than just doing a couple sets.
Now, to continue my talk on negatives, forced reps are a different thing. So say you're getting 20 reps with an exercise. You forced out 20 reps and you get this huge burn, this huge pump in a muscle, and then you get a friend to help you get a couple extra reps that you would not have been able to get normally. I would say under those conditions, those extra reps are much safer because you're at a higher rep range, so pushing deeper into failure will be safer on the body in that case. I'm not saying you can't overdo it. Of course you can overdo that too, but it is definitely safer. Okay, so definitely that is a technique you could use in your training in order to inspire some more growth in your muscle. So in summary, when you're lifting weights that are below 7 reps, you know, that's your maximum amount of reps you can get, I would not recommend going to failure. But if you're using weights that's 10, 15 reps and above, then I'd recommend taking your sets to failure as a general rule. Okay, there's always exceptions, but that's a general rule. So I hope this video helped you figure out when to go to failure and when not to. And thanks a lot for watching, and make sure you check out my website, naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and take care for now.
Boom, boom, bam, 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 even bigger than you are. Sure, my